friends, welcome to Daily News Analysis on The Hindu by Daily Shots. In this video, we are going to deal with topics from editorial, international, and business pages on UPSC and TNPC perspective, and other relevant articles are explained and shared in the below description box in the format of a PDF. And the relevant timestamping had been provided to navigate to the relevant news article directly. So now let's go into the session. Pandemics Without Borders, South Asia's Evolution. In this article, the author explains how the South Asians to uh, take this pandemic as a wake-up call, which is much beyond the public health. So he points out most of the devastating issues like the plastic pollution to global warming, extinction of species, hijacking of the commons, dirty water, toxic air, and a weakening of the welfare state and the infrastructural exceptionalism. And the rapid conversion of our demographic diversities had posed a major threat through the environment apart from the public health concern. So he insists that this lockdown is the time for the people to generate a momentum towards the federal devolutions and these Gandhi's empowering system of Gram Swaraj, a term that must be revived without a sense of embarrassment, which says the importance of the Gram Swaraj needs to be thought of. And a series of polarizing actions like from the Kashmir to the Citizenship Amendment Act, uh, an unbelievable Islamophobia has been injected into the pandemic response, is what the author feels like. The majoritarian's attitude exhibited by the state, the medias, and the social medias towards India's 200 million Muslims also projects the same and transfer this fear to peoples of Dalit, tribal, and Adivasi communities. So the trajectory of India with its centralization removes the governance from the people's reach is what the problem currently persists. And the Hindutva-laced nationalism, which can only divert attentions to the huddled masses, not is not fit for spreading prosperity nor the social justice, is what the author feels. So, as a solution, what he says is that India needs to stand strong with an intentional to build a demand for sitting in the UN Security Council to discuss the global security threat represented by the COVID 19 pandemic. And he asked the government uh, to remove the copy pasting of the Beijing centralism as well as its xenophobia, which he states that it may be bound to backfire in a country whose historicity and circumstances are quite different. So, as the way forward, he recommends some reformatting in the country's internal relationship and the structure. So, like the points, like the power must devolve from the capital to the provincial units of the two larger countries between Pakistan and India. Empowerment of the local governments is the must required, and the countries of South Asia to allow porous borders, which means reviving the historical synergies in economy, ecology, and culture is required. And he asks to reduce the military expenditure that will come by the abandonment of the national security state and improve the growth of the social justice and economic growth. And also, he says that we need to fight the plastic pollution in our rivers, battle for the air pollutions that waves across the frontiers, and to promote cooperations in the natural and human-made disasters. And this will boost the economies of the geographical periphery of the country. So all these points will pave a pathway for India's own socio-economic advances and the way to garner the international recognition of India's soft power. So the opinion makers of India, the authors are just naming the economists, political scientists, philosophers, sociologists, diplomats, and others have tended to be Delhi-centric, New Delhi-centric. So this had thus downright reluctant to address issues of both federalisms within India and regionalisms without India. India's disease surveillance system needs a reboot. In this article, the author explains the need for India to increase its disease surveillance system. As per the report of the Health and Family Welfare Ministry, 75.3% of deaths have been concentrated with the age groups of 60 years and above. 83% of deaths shows that the deceased were battling with pre-existing infections or health comorbidity health issues. So, which made the doctors to differentiate, which made it difficult for the doctors to differentiate between of COVID-19 and not dying with COVID-19. So basically, to explain about the current situation of India's public health care, it has the youngest population in the world, but it is negated with the poor health conditions and also with the public healthcare systems. So the government on this side is sidestepping. So the basically the poor is having a limited access to the healthcare, and this shows that there is a lack of disease surveillance system as well in the majority of the country. And along with this access to poor health situation, um, this it leads to report their conditions to the certified medical practitioners, and the clinical cases does not always culminate in the required testing, and they usually categorize diseases on the basis of pre-existing classificatory system, which results in failure to identify the definitive cause by differentiating and separating the pathogens meaning the disease causing microorganisms. So because of this differentiation on the basis of variation in groups, subgroups and strains, and the ailments clubbed together and they referred to by the generic names such as respiratory tract infection RTI, urinary tract infections UTI. These undifferentiated illnesses are known to affect lakhs of people every year worldwide. So, as per the source, the respiratory tract infection kills over 900 people in India every day, and the acute low respiratory tract infection ALRTI affects children below 5 years and infects 3.40 crores people across the country, across worldwide. So basically, the author says the reason is because due to the selective biased approach of mainstream scientific research that is driven by the profits of private pharmaceutical companies, and also additionally the lack of priority that the government assigns to these healthcare sectors and the disease of the poor are the main reasons which clubs in all other issues. So on the disease of tuberculosis, 1,400 deaths every day had been counted, and TB as a disease has a R0 value, which is the basic reproduction number, and the fatality rate higher than the COVID-19, which is ignored as ordinary and elicit very low attention. So selectively discovered and have the prosperity and have the propensity, which is a tendency to be identified as the epidemic, is effective for the doctors only if they see any signaling effect of this microorganisms. So this selectively discovering operations is done only if they get the signaling effect. Slow release. In this article, the author explains what are all the regimes which needs to be followed by the government along with the civic cooperations required to remove or slowly raise this lockdown. So this allowing of the economic activity under safeguards and other resumption of activities require a high degree of civic cooperation. So continued suspension of air, rail, interstate and urban public transport and the bar on the mass gatherings and entertainments venues will remove a major source of crowding. And in the hospitals, the allowing outpatients clinics to reopen and the permission given for plumbers, electricians and other technicians to work with the safeguards, which are the welcome steps. But basically the need is that the proper steps and regimes are to be communicated to the citizens very clearly. At all times must is the face mask, hand washing and the physical distancing. States to prepare for the arrival of the expatriates from the West Asia and the elsewhere are the main steps which the government has to be well prepared in. Author also insists to say that the public needs to be informed that it's a new reality and not a return back to life as existed before COVID 19. No relief for the Nova people. This article explains the burden which are on the shoulders of the migrant workers of India. So basically, according to this article, 60 to 65 millions of informal wage migrants are working in this economy. 40 percentage comprises of construction sector, 15 percentage in agriculture, and the rest are engaged in manufacturing, transport, and other services. And along with their family members, which is amounting to greater than 100 million. So, the sources of labor from the National Sample Survey (NSS) and the Indian Human Development Survey (IHDS) shows that migrant laborers are from the rural areas in poor section of the society and states and belong to the poorer socio-economic classes. Scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and other backward classes are overrepresented among them and comprising of large section of child bonded and trafficked labor. Activities of them are characterized by 3Ds naming dirty, dangerous, and difficult. 81 percentage of wage workers in the non-agriculture sectors do not have um, contract with their employers, and there is no security of tenure, which shows that the dismal of state of implementing of the labor regulations with respect to the interstate migrants. Additionally, the government had sidestepped its major responsibility of paying the compensatory wages to the informal sector's workers um, for the lockdown and putting it on the employer's shoulders. So most of the people could not able to avail the food or cash assistance and are on the brink of starvation. Along with this, the lack in coordination in movement of stranded populations by the means of trains, airs, and buses are to be provided with adequate resources. So this is also a much needed concern. So India basically requires a unified labor market and universal social security system, which can ensure security, safety, and dignity to all workers. So this is provided as the solution by the author. BRICS against COVID 19. This article explains how the new development bank's financial model can become a template to address the current natural disaster. As far as India is concerned, this opportunity provides for it to stage and forge an inclusive BRICS. This can be done through driving Pharma Alliance to actively explore the production of vaccines. And since the China under the Health Silk Road Doctrine had reached out to two of the world's global hotspots, which is Italy and Iran, and providing them the respirators, the protective suits, masks, and medication. So this can be taken as an example for India. Brazil's response needs some correction as its resistance to breaking the infection chains through travel bans, lockdowns, isolations, and testing appears to have led to an infection surge. And the comparative strength and as a provider of strength to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, BRICS countries now need to pool and coordinate their efforts in partnership with World Health Organization and the country of Europe and North America. So, as a point of focus, the BRIC countries have now to reactivate a mechanism for the existing disaster response mechanism and to pull in the resource and assets to combat the wild whole range of natural disaster with special focus to be on the emerging economies and the global south. So, Shanghai-based NDB, New Development Bank of the BRICS countries, demonstrate the way to disperse $1 billion as an emergency loan to China and subsequently to India, South Africa, and Brazil by allocating the financial resources, and also a financial upliftment to provide $10 billion in the crisis-related assistance to BRICS member countries. So this developmental model has become a template to address the natural disaster. Thank you, friends, for watching. That's all from today's daily news analysis. The relevant fact check points had been added in the last page of the PDF. So give me a thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe to my channel.